So fun fact, my wife has this little tiny blue dot on her butt. It's one blue dot, one pixel of a dot. She swears she has no idea where it came from, but looking at it, like I feel like it's got to be like somebody took a tattoo gun and just went boop with a blue dot because there's nothing natural about it, but she swears she has no idea what it's from.
Like, why don't you bring her up and have her show it to us and we'll make our own opinions?
Welcome to Drunk Real Estate. Grab a drink and enjoy the show.
Hey there, welcome to episode 78 of Drunk Real Estate. I am Kyle Wilson, Ashley Wilson's husband, and we have the long-awaited, highly anticipated predictions episode coming up. We do this kind of twice a year, but really the big ones once a year at the end of every year for predictions, what the upcoming year, what we're going to do. We'll recap a little bit some of the stuff that Jay got wrong, and we will make new ones. So let's start off with, well, we got to do the intros, though, first with what's everyone drinking. So Mauricio, even though I'm a little disheveled here because it's our second episode in a row, I'm a little bit drunk already. I feel like we might be in issues, but that's why I put some fun predictions at the end that we could be a little bit silly on. So Mauricio, you still drinking the same stuff as last week?
Dude, I'm not. Yeah, unfortunately, this is my last glass that's going to last the entire episode because I ran across the street to the gas station and they don't have a liquor license. So there's no beer. There, I definitely was not going to get the yellowtail wine that Jay usually gets, but I was going to get some beer and there's no license. And so I'm down to my last half a drink.
Well, DoorDash that. Don't they have that in California where you could DoorDash alcohol to your place?
If I knew how to use that stuff, maybe. But you're right. Yeah,
it would be pretty funny. You put in instructions, just come right in, and like a guy comes in with DoorDash with an alcohol and hands it to you.
Producer Alex, is it possible for you to order me some beer and have it DoorDash to my office?
No.
Jay, what do you got going on over there?
I'm like 3 big glasses in and I am buzzed off my butt. This is going to be a fun episode. I'm drinking the rest of this bottle of Oberon Cab, and when it's gone, I'll bust out another bottle. I haven't decided which one yet.
Yeah, you mix and match. Just keep with the Oberon. I know you got at least 2 cases in there.
I do have about 4 more bottles of it. I just checked.
Jay, you're buzzed off your butt. Do you also have one of those microscopic tattoos on your butt?
Hey. My wife can't hear this.
No, it's a microchip. Bill Gates got him. Jay did work for Microsoft. AJ, what's going on, man?
You know what? I'm doing good. I'm like 3 Diet Cokes in, though, so you should all be worried.
You're just buzzed. You're just
He's bouncing off the walls.
Yep.
Ooh, that's right.
So you're almost at the Red Bull level. You got the wings going on. I switched it up. Actually, I don't know if I told you guys last time when I was drinking. I'm going with 1792, one of my go-to ones. So yeah. Can we get into this?
Let's do it.
Cheers, gentlemen. All right. So Jay, I know we have this spreadsheet of the template of what I should be doing. I'm gonna go off script a little bit here. And my first one I'm gonna go with is recession prediction. Because what I found last time is we have all these predictions for real estate, mortgage rates, yada, yada, all these different things. But a lot of them were dependent on one major assumption. Because like I know someone like Mauricio and myself, we predicted that like there would be like a recession and some event would happen. And a lot of our other predictions kind of skewed after that. So I figured we'd start with that. So we could start with the assumptions and get them out of the way off the first place. And I'm going to hit Jay with that first, a little curveball.
So, I mean, if you want to summarize last year, I think every single one of us said that there was going to be a recession, and every single one of us was wrong. You said March of 2024. AJ said there was going to be something tied to geopolitical issues. Mauricio said, quote unquote, a significant one. I actually said, I was the only one that said, yeah, we're going to have a recession, but it's going to be small. I actually used the term softening. So I'll take the win on that one because we were all wrong.
How can you take the win? Oh, just because you used you caveat if we keep count Jay's caveats as wins, Jay caveats every single one of his answers on these things. He will say this, but I'll caveat it with something else. So apparently you're just going to win everything if you're.
You think that's an
If
accident?
the GDP grows, then it's not a recession, so it doesn't count.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to predict. So in 2024, I said a small recession, a softening. I think we're going to see a bigger recession this year. And I said this. I've been saying this for several months now. Didn't matter who won the election, who lost the election. I think the incoming administration, it happens to be Trump, but had it been I was going to say Biden, but had it been Kamala, I think they'd be in the exact same boat. I think they're in a really bad place. I think that we are in a major bubble in a lot of areas. And I think we're likely to see a resurgence of inflation. I think we're likely to see some issues with GDP. If Trump carries out some of his promises around deportation and tariffs and other things, I think that could exacerbate the situation. But I think even independent of that, I think we are kind of on a trajectory towards a recession. I think it'll be made many, many times worse if we see all of this economic efficiency, this doggy stuff that Vivek and Alon are talking about. So
Do you call it doggy stuff?
yeah, I mean, if they can call her Kamala, I can call it doggy, right? Yeah, I think we're going to be in for a recession this year, and I think it's going to be. I don't know if I want to call it significant or not, but I think it's going to be more than mild, and I think it's going to be bad.
Mauricio, what do you got?
As someone who has predicted 25 of the last 2 recessions, I'm going to go on record as saying that we're all going. Timing is so tough, right? I mean, there's one thing to be right on the theory and the reasons, but it's amazing how governments and central planners can, kick things down the can. Kick the can down the road. I'm going to go with Jay. I'm going to go recession, certainly within Trump's presidency, no doubt. But good chance it'll happen. But I think I don't know if you said when, but I think the second half of the year towards the end, I think you're going to get a little bit of the euphoria that's already happening at the beginning of the term. But I think towards the second half of the year, I'm predicting the recession coming along. And I think you'll be surprised to see how that affects real estate, which I know we'll talk about in a second.
AJ, what do you got?
I don't think we'll have a recession next year. I think we're just at this point, interest rates are starting to lower, and I think they can be lowered so quickly, and any effect on that will boost the economy. So I think that we won't. I think we're not going to see a recession next year.
I agree with AJ. I don't think we will see one this year. It doesn't mean that we're not in some sort of bubble or not, but I do believe that Trump wants lower interest rates. Powell will push back on it, but I do believe there'll be a little bit of softness in the job market, not enough for a recession, and the panic button will hit. We'll lower interest rates, and we'll just keep the train going. So I think I've learned my lesson. Just calling for recessions all the time, just because things aren't as good as they seem, doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to recession. So
now we haven't defined the recession, but are we in agreement that if we see 2 consecutive GDP declines, we're going to call that a recession, even though?
Well, we still haven't agreed. We haven't agreed if we're in a recession right now or not. So
yeah, what's our definition of a recession? Like I was assuming,
I mean, that's a classical recession, but technically those 6 monkeys back in the behind the screen have to be the ones who call it, right? So we got to wait for them to call it.
They're not going to call the 2024, especially if it happens in the second half. They're not going to call it till 2025. So we're going to be sitting here
or 2027.
Yeah, we're going to be sitting here on our next predictions episode, and I will have won, but the official call won't happen for a couple of years.
We will let's go by GDP.
We will that will be the default, but AJ and I will debate it with you when it does happen.
So if you and AJ think that interest rates are going to keep us out of a recession, I think inflation is the next obvious discussion point.
But hold on. I want to add one thing though. I want to make sure the audience participates as well. So I would like to encourage our audience, especially if you're listening on YouTube, to drop a comment about what your thoughts are, and then we can give some credit next time around to see who. Especially if you give a nice little explanation as to why, we'll highlight you in the next predictions episode.
And Jay, I got this. Don't worry. You don't have to steer me. And just because you made a good suggestion doesn't mean I want you to keep doing it. We will say inflation is next. Current inflation, core PCE, which is the indicator that we've talked about before, is currently at 2.8. I did not nail this. I thought I was looking at the Penn State index, and I thought we were going to be down much quicker. Now I thought we were closer to 2. AJ said we'd be at 3%, Mauricio 2.5%, Jay 2.5%. Jay somehow wants to say that he nailed this one, even though it's a 2.8 and he guessed 2.5. I'm seeing in the notes. I would say that arguably AJ's closer, but it's debatable because we were at 2.7 and then 2.8. So
I was averaging the PCE with core. When you average the two together, you get like 2.55.
So you basically pick the two indicators that made your prediction work and average those ones.
Yes, of course.
I included only the items that equaled to be 3%. I excluded all the rest.
I don't know if you round these numbers up. My prediction of 2.5 runs up to 3. Where a core at 2.8 runs up to 3. So I think I nailed it.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can pick and choose PCE, core PCE, CPI, core PCE. If we just go by this, then all of us we
I'm
nailed
just going
it
by core. I don't know about this PCE nonsense. I'm going. This prediction is purely on core.
Well, yeah. Well, it's core PCE though.
Headline CPI is what I'm going with.
I mean, I prefer to use super core. That's why I got 2%. But okay. Anyway, predictions for next time. I'll go backwards this time. AJ, what do you got for? So we're just going to go at the end of the year. What we're going to end up at?
Talking average, like for 25.
That's what I was kind of getting at. I thought we were going to do like a mid year.
No, and not an average. That's too complicated. Just at the end, like at this
end of the year, where are we going to be at?
Geez, I'd say 3. I'm sticking with my 3. I think it'll vary from 2.5 to 3.5 throughout the year. I think we will see periods of time where it will get down to 2.5, but I think we'll see times though where it's over 3. So
you think up a little bit?
I think he's saying pretty much he's going to fluctuate, but it's going to pretty much say what it is now.
Like this year, that's exactly what we saw. And I think that inflation will be persistent, and I think that it will be trending and equaling more down. But I think as we ease and as we get off the tightening, I think we'll have periodic times where inflation will reroute.
Jay, you seem like you might not agree. What do you got?
I mean, this boils down to what we talked about last week, which is Trump going to do what he promised, or is he not? And I think he'll ease off some of his promises, and I don't think things will be as inflationary as he's promised. But I don't think he's going to ease off all his promises. I think we're going to see some tariffs. I think we're going to see some deportations. I think we're going to see some pressure on the Fed to lower interest rates. All of those things are inflationary. And I think he's going to be a big boon for Bitcoin, a big boon for AI. Again, inflationary short term. So I think we're going to see some inflation short term. And so I'm going to say by the end of next year, not tremendous, but if we're at core PCE is 2.8 this year, I'm going to say 3.2 for next year.
Mauricio.
I'm going to stick with, I'm looking at the 1940s chart. I've been talking about this since a couple years ago now, where inflation doesn't go up or down in a straight line. I still think we're going to be testing, Jay and I have our little bet, testing the 9-point-something% by the end of the decade. So I think next year interest rates will be higher, not crazily higher, but I'm going to go higher than they are today. They might go down a little bit before then, but then they'll spike back up. So I'm going to go with sort of 3.8 for the end of next year, with an anticipation that it may continue to grow the following year, and then it'll come down and it'll go back up. It might go negative in this decade. It'll keep going up, but I'm really interested to see if it'll challenge the 9% that it hit a couple years ago. And I think there's a chance that we make a run at it by the end of the decade, but it's only 2025, halfway through the decade. So I'm going to go 2.8. I'm sorry, 3.8. Sorry, 3.8, a little bit higher.
All right. Once again, I'll take the low. Didn't work out for me last time, but I'm sticking to it. If you look at
this is not the Price is Right. This is not like you're trying to outwit us.
I agree, but I also think this is a lot of these metrics are slow moving, and a lot of things like the rent index and stuff. We still haven't caught up with what the actual rent index was. So I think we got some movement down there, and I also think all of these Trump policies. First of all, like most of them aren't going to be enacted this year, if any of them. And even if a few of them do, it's going to take them a while, halfway through the year, and we won't see its effects. So I think we're probably a little bit range bound right now. I think we're just going to bounce around between 2.5 and 3 right for the next year. So
what are we going to be next year at this time?
I'll take 2.75. I'll take the halfway in there. But caveat that though, Jay, say I said between 2.5 and 3, then, if it's 2.6, I still get the win. Where should I go next, Jay? Can I go into real estate now?
You're the moderator. You're good at this.
Best performing asset class in real estate. I'll go back through this, and I said retail, which actually did quite well. Jay said multifamily. AJ said single family, and Mauricio said gold.
I crushed.
I'm going to encourage you to give an actual answer this time. It was funny last time. It's not going to be funny twice. So, Mauricio, what do you got for a real estate asset?
I'm going to go multifamily for sure. Multifamily, I think, has been down there in the dumpster for the last couple of years. I think things are starting to clear, and I think it'll probably be a little bit flat, but I think it'll be slightly higher. So I think everybody else will be down. So I'm going to go with multifamily as the best performing asset class.
I don't mind that. I've indications if we've hit a bottom. So if we're at a bottom, then hopefully it's heading up in a hurry. So I'd like to hear that. AJ, you said single family last time went up 5%. I think is kind of what single family did. So I wouldn't say it was the best performing class, but I'm not going to give you a full loss on that one.
All right.
You got an answer for this year?
I think no. I don't. Okay, here, you want to hear my problem?
Yeah.
Single family houses aren't going to be corrected. Okay. So we will still have demand. So single family houses are going to be up. But when you look at they're not moving. So the housing market's essentially not moving. I think that you'll have multifamily, which both multifamily storage and other and larger industrial, we're on the tail end now of developments coming off. But we still have a weaker economy. So we're still not seeing like the fill-up rates and everything else. I don't think there's actually going to be an underlying outbreak performer, because I think that the ones that have had weaknesses, the development cycle's wearing off, but that doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily rebound. It could take 2 years for those in their cycles. I think that hotels, things like that, I think they'll probably do pretty good because I think people will travel. I think that multifamily, I think your guys' industry will do good because housing prices, and I think rents will have to go up. But also, I don't think they're going to do like spectacular. I think we're going to have I don't think we're going to get rent increases like we have. So I'm like actually I'm stuck because I don't think there's a clear winner. I don't think that there's one that's going to do amazing. I don't also think, though, that there's anyone that's outside office that's just clearing through the crap that's necessarily a huge loser. So I'm going to stick with industrial and say that it's going to keep kind of what it's doing and keep its extent moving out, where we're going to need distribution. We're going to need that kind of stuff. That never got overbuilt like the other asset classes. But even with that, I don't think it's going to be a big winner.
So when you say you're going to stick with industrial versus the single family you went with last time?
No, just stick with industrial because it's been doing the trend. It's been doing so well.
So like, because we're just talking about ranking. Like at the end of next year, we're going to rank all the asset classes. You think industrial will be at the top?
I think industrial will do better than
change over the year. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But I don't think there's going to be a clear winner, though. So I'm not like that. That's the problem with it. Usually I like to be like, I really believe.
I mean, numbers. So a higher number is going to be the winner.
If industrial is up 1.8 and the next one's 1.2.
Right. There is a clear winner. But what you're saying is going to be so close. They're all going to kind of, trend together. Jay, what do you got?
So for several years, data centers did really, really well with SaaS companies kind of making not a resurgence, but a spike in popularity. For many years, data centers became really popular. Basically, you needed lots of storage for these SaaS companies that were storing data in the cloud. And over the last year or two, SaaS companies have leveled off. Data centers have kind of leveled off. But I think with AI, we're going to see a big resurgence in the need for pure, just large stores of data. And the best way to accomplish this is through large central storage bases. And so I think data centers are going to do well. I think residential, so secondary to data centers, a more traditional asset class, residential.
Wait, do we get two guesses, or is this just a single guess?
Well, I mean, I'll go with data centers, but I mean, it's so niche that
I was wondering. I was like,
I like it. We got to do here, Jay. You said your guess.
Data
We don't need a TED talk. We don't need a TED talk, Jay. We don't need a TED talk or a.
He's trying to caveat again. So if data centers wasn't the answer and it was single family, is he gets two guesses out of it.
I'm trying to educate our listeners on my opinions, but if you don't care, if all you want,
we already you educate. You were bringing up single family. We're already going to talk about single family. You know that's on the docket.
Residential, which includes single family and multifamily.
Okay, well, whatever. Multifamily. I'm going back with Mauricio. Might be a little bit confirmation bias, but I've done a lot of research as far as supply and demand. We're going to have a bit of a back end of the 2025. We should have a real drop off in supply, and I'm hoping running, and I'm hoping those interest rates middle of the year stabilize, and we're off to the races.
Kyle, hope is not a strategy, my friend. Come on,
it's not a strategy, but in a predictions episode, that's you could throw out hope. That's all we really need to go off of. All right, worst performing.
Wait a second, Mauricio didn't have a say.
He did. He said multifamily.
The fact that you're not paying attention doesn't mean I haven't had a say.
Jeez, have another drink, Jay.
I'm just drunk.
I will go to Mauricio though for worst performing asset class. Last time you said single family. I don't think you'll do the win on that one. I said office. I think I'll personally take the win on office. It continued to go down, whereas everything else kind of stable off. AJ said hotels, and Jay said industrial warehouse. So Mauricio, what are you following that up with?
If I stick with single family for another 10, 15 times, will I eventually be right?
Broken clock twice.
Single family it is. I'm going to keep going.
All right, I like it. Jay, what do you got?
By the way, I just really believe, and again, timing is different, but I really believe that if you get a recession, you're going to have a lot of people who are locked into those 3% mortgages that everybody talks about that they're never going to sell because they've got the 3% mortgage. I think those guys, gals will be forced to sell because they're not going to be able to refinance if you're unemployed. You're going to be forced to sell.
Mauricio, I'll let you elaborate because we'll do home prices right after this. How about that? Jay, what do you got? Worst performing asset class coming up.
I'm going with the obvious favorite here, office.
Oh, you're stealing me. Eh? Like, it worked for me last time. You're like, oh, I might as well do that.
It's obvious.
Okay. AJ, what do you got?
Office.
You're going with office too?
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like office might have leveled off. If I'm looking at this data here, it's I don't know. But
once again, I don't think that office is necessarily going to do bad. I just don't think it'll have the gains the other ones will.
What about self-storage? Can I vote self-storage, AJ?
Go for it.
I'm strictly just doing this based off of the graph that I saw of the trends of where everything's heading, and self-storage was self-storage and office. And what was the last one? Lodging were the only ones that have been negative over the last few months. So you already said office, and I didn't want to say it again. Lodging, I think that's kind of more seasonal. What's going on right now in the last few months? So self-storage. I hope AJ, that just means you can buy everything, right? So
self-storage is seasonal. This is our low time of the year. We drop 15% in occupancy and rents and revenues are down. It comes back in March through August.
Well, still write me down. I don't want to be the third one in the office. I won last time, so I'll give this one to win for you guys. Home prices. Apparently, so from the list here, it says AJ wins because AJ just wrote up ! And we were up. So we're up 5%. About last year based on the Case-Shiller. And I said flat. AJ said up. Mauricio's blank. So I don't know. Jay
Scott was probably taking notes, and of course he doesn't listen, and so he probably didn't hear.
I went back and listened through the entire episode today.
I'm sure I nailed it, and Jay just wasn't paying attention because he was drunk, but that's all right.
Mauricio during the prediction episode, sometimes he gets a little frustrated and just decides not to participate. So that might have been one of those times. And Jay said we were going to be down, which we weren't. So we'll give the win to AJ, and we'll let AJ follow it up with his win. Are you saying the same thing? Are we up exclamation mark or single exclamation mark or down, or what do we got? AJ?
AJ, you
I don't
know,
wanna
there's a sheet
decide.
on this. You
No, I
had time
literally
to
don't want to
prepare.
decide. Can I pass?
I mean, you can pass, and then I could come back to you. This is
You
this is
can
kind of like
pass, but then you're wrong. At least take a chance of being
this
right.
is like a game show. Like I'll pass, but you got to come back.
Would you like to buy a vowel, AJ? Would you like to buy a vowel?
Down. I would love to
You're
buy
going
that.
down. Going with down. That's not a bad guess. I think Mauricio. was his
So
name,
give me a
right?
percentage.
A percentage?
What?
Yeah, are we down
Like
2% or
wait,
20%?
you got like new rules coming
Wait,
up?
wait,
You
hold
want
on.
a
Are we
percentage?
doing this though as the same as we're doing? So is this the same just like we did with inflation where it's just whatever the month is? Or is it for the year?
For the
No,
year.
on the year. Over the year. How far is it down on the year?
Up. If it's not on the month. Because like inflation, we did it whatever it was at that month at the end. So if it's over the year, up.
Average over the year.
I'm confused. Now I'm confused. We should probably lay the ground rules before we even start. Kyle, control the episode, dude. Come on.
This is pretty self-explanatory.
New rule. New rule. AJ is not allowed to bring out his beard comb in the middle of an episode.
So no, but we're using two different metrics because with inflation, we said whatever it was in that month and not an annualized one.
Okay, but sorry. I thought it would be pretty self-explanatory that housing prices over the year was enough of an explanation so that over the year, we're going to start at a price and we're going to end at a price. How much up or down is it going to be?
Right.
That's
Straightforward.
3%.
so Jay. We'll let you go.
When
Jay,
you say home, though, we're talking about single-family homes?
yes, Case-Shiller price index, home price index. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I'll go first. So I've had a thesis for a couple of years now that we are in a bubble and prices are well above the 120-year trend line. But we're not going to come crashing back to that trend line. Basically, we're going to stay flat while inflation catches up over the next 7 years. So I think we're going to be flat for the next 7 years for the most part. So I'm going to go flat for this year.
Okay, changing it up. So last time Jay said we were down 2 to 5%. Now he's saying flat.
When Jay says flat, that means if it goes up 0.1% or down 0.1%, Jay is wrong. Is that what
If
we're
it's
saying?
less than 1%, I'll still give it to Jay as a win. Mauricio, what do you got?
I'm going to say prices are going to come down because I think we're going to have that recession. Although there is a little bit of a delay. This is a timing issue, right? So it could happen at the beginning of 2026. But I'm going to say I'm just going to go down.
Down? AJ, you sounded like you were switching it up. You're going to say up.
3.
3? I'll take in between there. I'll take so we'll give Jay the win if it's less than 1%. Like we'll call that flat. I'll take the 1 to 3, and AJ gets it if it's 3. Mauricio gets it if it's down.
You get 2. There's no such thing as 1 to 3. You get 2.
Okay, I get 2, but if it's like 1.2, I'm taking the win.
I'm too drunk to deal with you idiots.
Well, a lot of this is going to be dependent on mortgage rates. So where do we think mortgage rates are going to be? I'll start with AJ again. What do you think? What do you think mortgage rates are going to be? 5. So last year you said 5%. I said 5%. Mauricio said 4 to 5%. And Jay said 5%. So I would say we will all take the L on that because we're almost 7.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But we also might have just been a year early. So AJ's saying 5.
Yep.
Mauricio, you're going to back it up again? Say 5 again?
I think, well, again, the mortgage rates are not entirely, but very highly dependent on the 10-year. And I think you're going to see the 10-year continuing to rise in the short term. So in the short term, I would say you're likely to see mortgage rates flat to higher. But by the end of the year, I do predict a recession, which means that interest rates will probably get cut, go down a little bit. So I'm going to say, what did I say last? 4 to 5? I'm going to say 5 to 6.
Jay?
I think I think rates are going to be higher for longer now. And I think mortgage rates are going to be higher. My initial thought was 6.5%. We're at 7% as of the recording of this, 6.95% for the 30-year fixed as of today. Maybe not that high because I do think we're going to see at least 1 or 2 rate cuts. So I'm going to go a little bit lower, but I'm going to say still higher than most people expect. I'm going to say 6%.
Okay, I'll take the under on that. I'm going 5.5. I think we're going to, in the new year, we're going to head the 10-year treasury is going to go down around the 3.8 level, and we're going to get a surprise cut in that it's not priced in right now, which will send the 10-year Treasury down another quarter point or so, maybe and a half point. And then so add the spread on that, 5.5. That's where I'm coming in at.
Who wins between, I said 5 to 6, and you said 5.5. Who wins?
The person who actually does a guess. So, you know what? That's not true. I think it's going to be somewhere between 0 and 10.
Mauricio, where are you 5 to 6? Low or the high?
I'm going to go on the little higher end of that. So like 5.5 to 6.
Okay, there we go.
5.75. There you go. All right.
How many cuts this year?
How many cuts are we doing this year, Jay? What do you think? I don't know if you have. Do you want me to pull up the dot plot? You got it.
I don't. We're gonna have a new one this week. Unfortunately, we're not gonna have an episode until January, the first week in January, so we're not gonna be able to talk about it. But the dot plot has us. I don't remember exactly, but definitely lower than where I'm about to predict right now. Again, I think we're going to see higher for longer, given that the inflation data this month has been a little bit higher than expected, given that Trump is definitely talking about doing some inflationary stuff, whether he does or doesn't. So I think we're going to see rates higher for longer. And I'm going to say we're still going to see 1 or 2 cuts next year. I'm going to say 2 quarter-point cuts. So 2 cuts down a half point. We'll end the year at about 3.75% federal funds rate.
Mauricio, you agree?
This is tough, man, because what happens when some financial thing happens, right? We all know the playbook of the Fed. They're just going to cut. They could go down to 0 for all I know. It depends on the severity of what's going to happen. So that's why it's tough. Like if nothing happens and you just go through your normal recession, you get to see the cuts. But if something does happen, that's where I could just see the Fed cutting freaking 7 times down to 0. I mean,
it does seem like it's going to be either 0 or 4 and nothing in between, right?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. It's like if again, it depends on what the severity of a recession. But if you have a banking crisis, right, that spills over and it all comes, all those what's the saying? All the hens come to roost, or the whatever comes to roost. Then you could see the Fed freaking freak out and slash rates all of a sudden. So that's why this is so tough. But when the tough get going, the going get tough. And I'm going to go with 3 rate cuts.
Okay, so wait a second. So right here, for those who are looking at who are watching YouTube, Mauricio has put up. Oh, I'm sorry, Kyle has put up the market's prediction of where rates are going to be next December, and the peak is for 32% of the market. 32% of investors think between 3.75 and 4.0, which is a good bit higher than where it was just a couple months ago.
And for reference, after this week, we should be at 4.25. So that's saying the odds-on favorite is 2 cuts, right? 2 quarter point.
No, sorry, that would be 2 cuts. Sorry,
that'd be 2 cuts, and not far behind it at 27% is only 1 cut. So if you're basically, you're saying 2 cuts, you're the favorite. If you're only saying 1 cut, you're not that far off.
This is not taking into account when they cut like 1.5 points in one. Like they just need to slash it because the shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah, but I don't think looking at this, nobody's anticipating that as of now.
I mean, if you're only doing 50 bips total for the year, you're assuming that it's probably 2 quarter points.
But if Russia launches a nuclear missile to New York, then that changes everything.
I think that might change all of our predictions.
So Mauricio, 0% or 4%?
I don't know.
Pick one. Come on.
Wait, I got to pick between. Are we picking between 0 and 4?
You got to pick your number. You got to throw a number out.
You pick whatever you want, but
I thought I said 3 rate cuts.
There you go. He's saying 350.
Okay.
All right, AJ, what do you got?
He's 350, but what was Jay's?
I was 375.
Shocker. Jay going with the market predictions.
Well, I didn't. I actually have never looked at
Jay is the market. Didn't you know that? Jay is the market.
I literally hadn't looked at that. If you would have asked me what I thought the market was predicting for next December, I absolutely would have assumed it was a half point lower than this. I really thought that I was going against the market. So clearly I am smarter than I realize.
AJ, what do you got?
I'm going to say this is more of wishful thinking, but I think 4.25.
Oh, so you think we're done after this? So we're getting a cut this week, and then we're done for the year. All right. Well, I'm going to go with Mauricio. I'm going
Hold
with
on.
350.
I'm not doing that. I'm going back on it. I'm flip-flopping.
He wasn't paying attention. Now that he knows what we're talking about, he has a real prediction.
No, I was. I don't think, though. I think inflation's here to stay. So this is why I don't think inflation is easily curable. And I think a lot of the stuff that Trump's going to do will drive inflation. So it's not something that I think that they can just come in and cut. But I think the Fed's needing to for a whole bunch of reasons. And so I think they're going to kind of be forced to. That's my problem. Whether they should or not, at the end of the day, it's what they will. I'm going to say 350. Just because I think that the Fed.
Oh, why'd you do that? I was going to do a 352, and that means there's three of us guessing 350. But I have different reasons. First of all, I believe Trump will lead to inflation, but I think it's going to take a while. I don't think it's happening this year. And then second, I think that 350. I think that's kind of what they have in their head as the neutral rate. So that they're going to go to there, and then they're going to test it and figure out if they're correct in their assumption that that's the neutral rate. So I think there's a good chance they're going to hold at 350 for a while when they get there. So that's why I think we're going to finish at 350. All right, we're moving along on here. Should we go with stock market next? We were awful at this. It's pretty evident that we are not stock market investors. We are real estate investors because we all thought this was going to be flat or down on the stock market, and it was quite the opposite. It went up about 20%. So do we want to even make predictions on this, or are we just going to, no one's going to listen to us anyway because we're awful at it.
I got to say, the reason why I think we all thought the stock market would be flat or going down is we thought that first and foremost that they were going to have to lower interest rates because we thought that the fall numbers, the numbers coming in were going to be worse than they were, right? So
or we thought there was going to be some sort of recession, right? We all kind of thought there was going to be some sort of recession.
We did not think the economy could survive at this high of interest rates for this long. And I think that is actually a really big thing, which I'm still shocked by, that interest rates at this level, the economy is doing. What I would say, though, is I think we all underestimated the amount of money and hiring and everything, though, that the government would put in. I never expected that they would be putting in whatever it was, $6 trillion when there was not even COVID, there was nothing even going on, yet we were acting like it was. That was staggering. And 50% of all new job hires, on and on and on. So I think we vastly overshot the effect of that. And I think I learned a very valuable lesson, just like in 2008. The government can do wonders. If it drops interest rates or it starts that printing press and it starts putting money into the system, it's amazing what it does. So with that, I'm saying the stock market will be up purely because I think if I'm going to 350, I mean, if I'm going to 350 on the interest rates, I think the stock market will be up.
I agree. I also think, as I said, my previous prediction, I don't think we're seeing a recession this year. So if there's no recession, there's no reason for the stock market to go down significantly. But I also don't think this is going to be rip roaring like it was before, 20%, whatever. So like I'm thinking in like the up 10% range, somewhere in the 5 to 10% range. Jay, what do you think?
Down 20%.
Ooh, taking it. I mean, so obviously you're thinking recession.
So we haven't had this discussion. Maybe we will after the new year if things are kind of still status quo. But we hit a big milestone last week where the total equities market, all the value of all the stocks in the stock market, is double GDP, 200%. For context, we often call this the Buffett indicator because Warren Buffett has talked about this before. For context, somewhere in the 90 to 100% range is about right. You want the total equities market to be somewhere between 90 and 100% of GDP. That's kind of where we've fallen over the last 100 years. We're at 200%, twice GDP, which is just ridiculously high. So even if we don't have any specific economic event that causes an economic downturn, I mean, we're still way overpriced, and just a normal correction of 20% would still be way overpriced.
Mauricio, what do you got?
I agree with that. It's just because it's so overvalued. I would assume it's going to be lower. I don't know about 20%, but 10%.
That's what I thought last time, and they've proved me wrong. The market seems pretty resilient, so it's going to happen at some point. I just think that Trump's first year his presidency, he's just going to be pushing for everything to be working on all cylinders, and he's going to push that off another year.
How far is the S&P up if you take away those 5 or 7 companies?
They make up basically all of it. That's another thing that's hard with the stock market. I agree with Jay. We don't actually need the economy to go down. We don't need that. We need the tech companies to go down. We need something to happen within the capital markets that is a risk off. And all you have is the capital markets to say tech companies are overdone. Let's pull back. The entire stock market will pull back. If we have a shift in capital allocation next year, which there's a very good chance that we will, we're moving into a different cycle. It's just the movement of capital makes the stock market draw back. I thought that's what was going to happen this year. I thought the shift into the new cycle was going to take place. And wow, was I wrong?
I mean, maybe we need, I know it's not very popular, but I know there's a specific S&P that's weighted normally, like I don't know what it's called, but like it's just, instead of having the overweighted on market cap, it's just weighted normally. That might be a better indicator of the overall, if there is such a thing as the overall stock market, that might be a better, indicator than the current S&P that's so heavily weighted towards market caps.
I mean, NVIDIA made up how much of the economic gains are, I mean, it was staggering.
$3 trillion.
Over $3 trillion,
Yeah. So I was going to recommend this as a topic for early next year, but one of the things that we're likely to see is right now the dollar is as strong as it's ever been.
Well, that's kind of an overstatement, isn't it?
Well, no, the dollar is ridiculously strong, and there's a lot of
that it's ever been, like that's an all-time high.
Maybe not as strong as it's ever been, but it's ridiculously strong, and I think it's likely to see a reversal again, just based on it being in a bubble next year. And as the dollar weakens, what we're going to see is we're going to see investment move out of the U.S. and we're going to see a lot of foreign investment move out of our equities markets. So I think this, I'll propose this as a topic for in the new year, but I think it's an interesting topic on how the strength of the dollar is going to impact a lot of the hard assets in our country over the next 24 months.
To be fair, I'm pulling up an S&P equal weight index, and it's still up 15, 16%. So it's still generally up. Although it has come crashing down in the last few months. But anyway.
All right, let's move on to Mauricio's favorite topic, because he's used it for multiple answers, is gold. Where do we think gold is going up? 3 of us all said gold was going up, except Jay thought it was going to be flat. So I'll just give Jay the L on that one, because gold is up to about 2,600.
So it's up like almost, what was that, 20+%?
Yep. And the one thing to Mauricio's point on that, though, the one thing with gold, the strength of the dollar is going to be a big factor in gold, right? So if we believe the strength of the dollar is going to go down, gold's just going to go up, right? It's not necessarily going to increase in value, but the strength of the dollar is just going down. So, Jay, you want to modify your flat, or are you going to back it up?
No, I was wrong. I mean, that's simple. And I think gold is going to continue to go up. I think some of that money is going to flow into Bitcoin and crypto for obvious reasons, which I assume we'll talk about in a few minutes. But I still think gold is going to be a good hedge against everything, including crypto. So I'm saying gold will be up next year.
Yeah, I've seen that gold has kind of moved away a little bit from just like the classic hedge and the classic flight risk. And it's become more of like I don't know if the word is like a vanity buy or something, but like it seems to be it's now one of those quote unquote assets. I don't know what you classify gold as these days, but an asset that people buy when times are going well. They have extra money, they will buy gold. It's kind of like it's lumped in with crypto and that. So as I said, I do think next year is going to be a good year. I don't think we're going to see down stock market. I don't think we're going to see down really anywhere. So I think gold's going to do pretty well again. AJ, what do you think?
Same. I literally mirror that.
Yeah, nice. Mauricio?
As the preeminent expert on gold of this podcast, I'm surprised Kitco hasn't called me yet to talk about the stuff. But
you and Shift, right?
Yeah, me and Schiff. Hey, I think gold will. Here's my prediction. I think gold by the end of the year will have touched 3,000, but probably ends the year below 3,000. But I think it'll touch it this year or next year.
I like it. That's it's a good prediction. Do we want to touch Bitcoin? I don't know. I think Bitcoin's at basically 100 right now. Why? So obviously Jay's got a prediction. What do you think Bitcoin's going to do?
I mean, I predict that Trump's going to decide that we need a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and if he does that, I could see it going up 50, 100% even.
Yeah, once we found out that Trump has 5 million in Bitcoin or whatever he has, then he obviously is not going to want Bitcoin to do poorly.
Yep, so definitely up.
AJ?
Up. I think that the new administration has been very clear on its approach to Bitcoin. They believe and they're backing it. They think it's essential. They think the government needs to play ball, not fight. And I think just that alone, we've seen what it's done. I believe that will direct investment into infrastructure, and it will direct more attention and people going towards it because we have a 4-year outlook. And I think that it'll actually be overdone. I think that Bitcoin will go up too much. I think people are over.
Well, that is the argument right now, though, that people overreacted a little bit when Trump got elected, expecting all of these things you're talking about to happen, and they're already pricing that in. But
I think it. No, it just be wrong. I think though that will continue. The hype will continue because that's how a lot of those coins, frankly, work. They deliver so much on hype, and so I think it will be up, and I think it may be up a lot.
Well, again, another topic that I plan to propose for January, and I mean we've got a lot of topics right now that I'm thinking about for January, but imagine
write them down.
Imagine a situation. Well, I'm capturing them here. Imagine a situation where foreign countries think that Trump is likely to create a U.S. Bitcoin reserve, which is going to pump the price of Bitcoin 20, 30, 50, 100%. What are they going to choose to move their money in as opposed to gold or U.S. treasuries or U.S. real estate or anything else? They're going to move their money into Bitcoin, which will be great for Bitcoin. It could be really bad for U.S. Assets.
All right, Mauricio, you agree with these guys?
I mean, we're all making this up, obviously. I mean, if you look at the end of 2022, it's a sore subject for me because I bought some at the bottom of 2022. I bought it, I think, at like 17 grand. It bottomed out at about 16 and change. I then sold it at 20, 21. So the question is, yes, I've definitely seen a trend towards being accepted in the regulatory framework in terms of governments and even the SEC. It's like, hey, Bitcoin's not a security. Like it's definitely made a movement in that direction. And then obviously Trump is a big proponent of it. He's hanging out with the folks like Elon Musk. So certainly there's a tailwind on Bitcoin. The question just for me is, I mean, it was at 20. So, I mean, should triple the price be the fair value? And so it should be at 60. And so it still needs to come down from 100. So it still can be overvalued, even though the underlying fundamentals are there. And so
how do you say if it's overvalued or undervalued when it has no intrinsic value? Like there's no applicable value other than like what we just decided it's going to be. So
that's why I think we're making up. I mean, I don't know. I think these are, I'm going to just go, it's going to be lower by the end of the year. It'll definitely go higher, but by the end of the year, I'm going to say I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be under.
I tend to agree with the other guys.
Under, what was that last word? Under what?
Under 100. I know it's at 106 right now, but let's call it under 100.
Yeah, I tend to agree with the other guys. It's going to finish over. I think we are going to have a small correction when like the next little bit
Bitcoin
of news.
Does not have small corrections. If it corrects, it'll go down 50% and then it'll bounce back up.
I don't think it'll go down that much. I think it'll get in the 80s or something, and then Trump's going to be like, I got to pump this back up, and he'll come back and he'll boost it back up into just over. But I don't see it doubling though. Like I don't know. But as you said, I'm just talking him out of my ass. So
everybody is with Bitcoin. I don't care who you are.
Agreed. All right, let's just touch on how our election predictions went because we can't really make a new one. A lot of us thought.
So I'm sorry. I'm reading. It says do not need to cover this. Are we going to cover it anyway?
Yeah.
We need to cover it.
I mean, we thought that Biden was still going to be in the running at that time. I guess we're talking about a year ago. So, but Mauricio is probably saying we don't need to cover this because he thought Trump was going to bow out due to legal reasons.
I thought Trump and Biden would have to buy out. So I had DeSantis and Gavin Newsom as the two candidates.
Yeah. Well, I guess you were kind of half right. We'll call you a quarter right on that Biden was up. All right. Should we do some Trump predictions though? These ones seem like fun. And you know what's fun about them is now we have this poly market. Now, I think technically, correct me if I'm wrong, Mauricio, Americans aren't really supposed to bet on poly market. But still, we have this basically resource that you can bet on almost anything. And so you can go and you can look at like Trump's policy things and bet on whether or not they're going to come to fruition. So we have stuff like deportations. Like, do we think deportations are going to happen in this next year of Trump's presidency, Jay?
I think we're definitely going to see deportations. I don't think we're going to see anywhere near the level that he's talked about. So maybe on the order of low seven figures, 1 million deportations, 1.5 million, but nowhere near the 10 million or whatever number he's talking about. I think there's been enough backlash from farmers, from business owners, from just his supporters in general, that I think he's going to be very careful. I think he's going to claim.
But you
the
think
win.
it's going to be an increase? I'll speed you up here. You think it's going to be an increase over the norm?
No doubt. No doubt. He will do deportations, but it'll be far lower than what he has.
I will take the other side of that. I don't think it's going to change significantly from previous administrations. I think it's going to be about the same. I think he's going to focus more on stopping people from coming in than kicking people out. AJ, what do you think?
They made too much noise. I think people are not going to allow it. I think he's not going to do it. I think he'll get in too much trouble.
So you agree with Kyle?
Yeah. Mauricio?
Agree.
With Kyle?
No, I agree with Jay. Sorry. I agree that there's going to be deportation, but nowhere near whatever the claims are.
Nowhere near 10 million.
Yeah. He's going to stop the rate of increase of immigration, illegal immigration. But in terms of deportation,
there will be deport. I would say probably like 500,000.
I think he's just going to focus on the border and people who are the new people coming in, and he's going to call that a win. All right. Do we think Elon Musk is going to get any budget cuts in this year? Is his little, what'd you call it, Jay? Doggy? Is his Doge gonna work out? Mauricio?
No, not this year, because number one, they're going to have to come up with some report. It's going to take freaking 6 to 12 months to come out with a report, and then it's going to go through the system. So I don't think any reductions in 2025. I think you'll see minor reductions in 2026.
I concur completely with that. Jay?
I think that they will see absolutely no reductions this year, and they will blame it on Democrats, even though they control all branches of government.
AJ?
I agree. I don't know logistically how you do.
Okay. Will we eliminate daylight savings time in 2025? AJ, what do you think?
Not in 25. No.
No. Jay?
So personally, I don't think we shouldn't be eliminating daylight savings time. We should be going to daylight savings time full time. There's a difference, but I don't think it'll happen now.
You know what I mean. Mauricio, what do you got?
Oh, no, they're two different things. And Trump has proposed eliminating daylight savings time. Other people have proposed moving to daylight savings time full time, and they're two very different proposals. I don't think.
Isn't that just an hour difference? Like they're like which one we pick?
Yeah. So basically, you pick one and you stick with it forever. And so I don't think we're going to see it either.
Okay. Well, just for the record, there's currently on Polymarket, they're saying there's a 36% chance he's going to do it in the first 100 days. So that's significant. Mauricio, what do you think?
I mean, I personally couldn't give two shits about it. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is. However, the one thing it does bug me.
Don't you have kids?
Some states do it and some states don't. And that, like Arizona, for example, does not do it. And so like some time of the year we're on Pacific time, sometimes we're on Mountain time. That part gets confusing for business, especially when you're transitioning over. But otherwise, I couldn't give a rat's ass about it. I haven't even been following it. So I'm going to say it does not get eliminated.
I might be wish casting on this, but I hate it. Anyone with kids, I think, should hate it. Kids, dogs, just messes everything up. Get rid of it. I've wanted it gone forever, and I'm wish casting that it's going to be gone. So I'm saying yes, it's out of here. All right. Here's a fun one. Do we think Trump will declare a national emergency for any reason? So like this, like people will declare a national emergency to push through policy now, I guess. Do we think he's gonna do that for any reason in the first year? I say yes. I think he's gonna. That's a a trick in his bag, the club in his bag, and he's gonna pull it at some point this year.
A national emergency on what?
And on anything, he's going to declare a national emergency.
In order to be able to pass certain executive actions, he needs to have. So, for example, if he wanted to do certain things with deportations, the only way he can get it done without congressional approval is, for example, deploying the National Guard to help with deportations. The only way he can do that without congressional approval is to declare a national emergency.
So are we talking about then national emergencies associated with deportation?
No, just he's going to declare
any policy.
At some point, he's going to, in the first year, he's going to declare something as a national emergency.
But yeah, I guess yes, because they're declared basically every year.
Well, no, I don't. Have we declared a national emergency?
Yeah, we did with the hurricane. We had one in.
Okay, all right. I'll caveat that non-weather related, non-weather policy related.
So basically, only if you think he's going to use it to do something else. That's
to get something done.
To do something other than allocate money.
Yeah.
Okay. So do I think that he'll declare a national emergency to try to get something else done other than allocating money? I don't know. I think he'll probably do lots of things.
But it's got to be in the first. Why are we limited to the first 100 days?
I didn't say that. You're reading this sheet. I said the first year.
Okay.
I just said that I limited to the first 100 days. That's what it has on Polymarket for the odds. They have to specify specific days. So that's why Polymarket has the first 100 days.
Considering they all do national emergencies and throw all sorts of crap in there, including funding their own people, everything else, I'm saying, yeah, absolutely.
All right. That's 3 yeses. Mauricio?
Yeah, 100%. This is Trump style, right? He uses all these things as negotiating tools, and I think
if it's a tool in his tool chest, he's going to use it. I guess that's my opinion. All right, is he going to kick out Powell before his term ends? What do you think, AJ?
No.
Jay?
Nope.
Mauricio?
Nope.
I agree. I think it's too close to come up. He's got so many things on the go. He's not going to worry about it.
And 2, it's not. He can't just do that. He just can't kick him out. So.
Well, we'll debate that. We'll debate that again. But just because we don't think he can doesn't mean he's not going to try. All right. Next, is he going to declassify the UFO files? AJ.
Yeah. Or not all of them. I think they will declassify some of them, not all of them, though.
I agree. I think he's gonna give us a carrot. Like he's gonna be like, oh, here's something. Jay, what do you got?
I want to know if he's going to declassify the Epstein files.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Epstein and 2 JFK.
Yeah,
great. And I say no on all 3.
You think so? All right.
Why?
Because when he was asked about it, whether he was going to. Because when he was asked if he was going to declassify the Epstein files, his response was, I will think about it, but I don't want to get some good people who...
He's not doing Epstein for sure. He's got way too many people, maybe even his family members are on that thing. So there's no way. Mauricio, what do you think? We got UFOs, Epstein, or JFK? You think he's declassifying any of them?
I don't even know what the UFO stuff is. I've not been following that. But I have heard him say he's planning to declassify some of the JFK stuff. I thought that was a promise to RFK. But I don't know. The only question I would have is if he wanted to declassify UFO files, why didn't he do it in his first term? Or are these like new files that have shown up since? Like everybody forgets. It's like he's been in office already. Like why hasn't he done whatever he's been promising in the first thing? I don't know.
Because why not? Because you're only president twice, so Let's.
We said something. We said something.
I was going to chime in. You sparked my interest. So, I mean, me and AJ got really excited last year about all of the like UFO whistleblower stuff. And so that's why it's like a big deal this year or like, I don't know, in the last year because of the whistleblowing. And so I think that's why it would be a hot topic for him to declassify it. But I just think it's hilarious that everyone's like, yeah, we know.
You know, this is big when producer Alex is like jumping in.
This is like the first true step in. That must be important.
And that's why they'll give something.
Yeah, that'd be him throwing us a bone.
I don't know if it'll still be a story in 2 weeks when this is released around New Year's, but we had talked about doing a discussion about the New Jersey UFO.
The drones?
The drones.
Yeah.
That's next door to me.
Yeah.
People all looking up. Oh, that's definitely a plane. That's not a drone. That's a plane.
Okay, so Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I agreed with AJ that he's not going to declassify everything, but he's definitely going to throw us a bone. He's going to say like, oh, I got to do this, but I can't do all this because of national security reasons, and only people like me can see it. So that's going to be his answer. Final Trump. Do we think in the first year he's going to actually end the war in Gaza and the war in Ukraine? Jay, what do you think?
I think Ukraine is, well, it's so hard because how do you define ending? I think that there's more likelihood that he'll end the Ukraine war than the Gaza war. But I think that it's not going to be a resolution that satisfies most people. I'm going to say no on both.
Okay. AJ, I think you disagree.
I honestly hope he ends both.
AJ, you seem like you might disagree.
I think one will get done. I just don't think he can get both done.
Which one do you think is more likely?
I think the Ukraine-Russia one, because it's been going on longer, and I think it's exhausted, and I think both of them. And two, frankly, just stop giving Ukraine money and it's over. So we have way more pull and push.
That was going to be my answer. The war in Ukraine, I think he has more effect over that. He has more relationships based on that, and we have more ability to demand things in that situation. So I think war in Ukraine gets taken care of. War in Gaza, like I feel like that could be not necessarily a forever war, but it could kind of be just like a conflict that gets elevated and then de-escalated and then elevated and de-escalated. So that's what I'm calling. Mauricio, you agree?
100% that Ukraine war is over by the end of next year and Gaza will go on forever. Maybe not forever.
All right. Couple fun ones. Super Bowl champ, who we calling? Mauricio.
The Mighty Ducks?
Mighty Ducks. All right, Jay, who you guessing?
Baltimore Orioles.
Ooh, that's not a bad guess. AJ.
Chiefs are taking it. They're getting all the way. They're going to make history. They're going to get all the Super Bowl. That'll make them the most ever, right? If they do.
They'll be the only one to three.
You don't think the Idaho Eagles will do well?
The Idaho Eagles will do good, but those peewees, those 5-year-olds, man, dude, they get smashed when they go up against those linebackers.
Boise State doesn't even know how to paint their field correctly.
I know. The only thing they know how to do is win.
Obviously, Eagles all the way. I think they're actually second in betting odds right now. So I'm not even going out on a limb saying that. It's all Eagles all the way are winning this. TikTok, is it getting banned in 2025 or not? AJ, what do you think?
Stupid TikTok. I think it will have to make changes. I don't think it will go away, but I think it will force a sale or something will happen. So in its current form, in ownership and say and equity and how it's being run.
You think they're going to get around the ban, basically. They're going to work with them and they're going to restructure the company.
Yep.
Not a bad guess. Jay, what do you got?
So we're recording this 2 weeks in advance of this being played, but 5 hours ago, Trump basically asked the Supreme Court to block the ban after he met with the CEO of TikTok. So basically, Trump met with the CEO of TikTok, decided he doesn't want it banned, has asked the Supreme Court not to ban it, and so that tells me that he doesn't want it banned, and he'll probably get what he wants.
And is that how it works? But that's how it works. Like Trump calls up the Supreme Court justices and says, "Hey, I don't want this to be banned and then the Supreme Court justices go along with it.
I'd say if you have to guess if it's more likely that or the opposite, I'd say it's more likely that than the opposite.
Because what's interesting is that their deadline is like the day before Inauguration Day, which is also interesting. But I know the Supreme Court just turned down a request to stay that date. Like they wanted to extend it, and the Supreme Court said no. But yeah, I don't know.
That's your answer? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I've never really
don't know. Kyle?
Well, so Polymarket has a 26% chance of it being banned before May 2025. So I feel like that's significant. And I mean, you're guessing if he's going to use this as a negotiation tactic for his tariffs as well. Maybe that's a thing. But I'm agreeing with you. I think they're going to restructure it and they're going to get a way around of not having it banned. And he'll probably get rich off it somehow. Elon Musk net worth. What do we think it's going to be at the end of the year? So currently it's 450 billion, according to Forbes.com. He gained 3.6 billion today. So 13.6 billion today. So where do we think he's going to end at the end of the year? AJ, you think it's going up significantly?
It pretty much will depend on what the markets do. So I think it won't go up anything like we've seen. I think that's all. I think those gains have been embedded. I think it'll track more likely the market. I think that Tesla's got its huge boost. I think it will outperform, but I don't think nothing like we saw this year. So I think up, yes, absolutely. Nothing like we've seen though.
Jay?
I'm a big fan of Elon as a tech guy. I also don't like him as from a personality standpoint. And I think he is going to do everything he can to make as much money from the government as he possibly can. So I give him a lot of credit, but I also think he's going to fleece the government and try and take as much money as he can. So it's so hard because I think I agree with AJ that a lot of this depends on what the markets do next year. And I think the markets are going to be soft next year. I'm going to say he's going to make a lot of money before the next 4 years, but next year I'm going to agree with AJ. I'm going to say basically where he is now, maybe up a little bit, but in the next 4 years, he's up a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's the same. I mean his net worth is primarily tied to his businesses, and if his businesses are going down or soft, then yeah, so I'm going to go lower.
Dude's had a Doge. I'm calling 600 billion. He's going way up. He's going to be up significantly.
So are you going to buy all the stocks then?
I don't know which one though. SpaceX. Because SpaceX is significant now. Like it used to be just like, oh, it's all Tesla. Now that's a significant amount of his net worth. So,
and that one does rely more on government contracts, right?
Exactly. So, all right. Actually, I'll do two more. Taylor Swift, is she getting pregnant or engaged in 2025? AJ, what do you think?
So I've thought a lot about this, and I don't care to even answer. There is not even an ounce of me that wants to think it.
Well, I don't know. You got to think. You just said that Kansas City is going to win the Super Bowl, so she's going to be dating a three-peater, and don't you think that's significant? Like a three-peat, like he might retire, propose. It'll be like the fairy tale ending.
No clue. I just could not think about it. I don't.
So AJ's saying no. Jay, what do you got?
I think she will definitely either be engaged or pregnant, but not both.
Fair. Mauricio, what do you got?
They will not be together by the end of next year.
Oh, there's a bold statement. Taking the other side of it. I think they will still be together, but they will not get engaged or pregnant in 2025. And finally, December 2025, final prediction. What will the price of eggs be?
It was up like 59% last month, by the way.
What's the current price of eggs?
So what are we going to base it off of? Like the consumer price index eggs monthly analysis, or what do we
I believe it's like $6 for no, wait a second. Hold on. Let me see. 5 days ago, I'm looking at an article now.
It's $2.51 a dozen.
Almost $5. It's almost $5 right now for a dozen regular eggs.
4.54 I have right now.
Okay.
For a dozen.
4.54.
Is that organic or cage free or pasture free, or which one is this?
That's the eggs index. So I think it's like pooled together. They syndicate all of the different kinds of eggs together, and that's the group price is $4.54. So Jay, what do you think? It's going to be up or down?
I think so. It's up artificially because there's been a lot of bird flu and stuff. So I think the current price is way higher than it should be. So even if we see some inflation, I think we'll get some natural deflation on that number. So I'm going to say down, and I'm going to say down by 20%.
AJ, price of eggs. What do we got?
So they should be, the flock sizes have kind of equal equilibrium after they were shortened. We've gotten them back up, and those hens are at laying capabilities throughout this year. But we do have the problem with the bird flu scare. And that really makes me nervous, not because I don't think it'll necessarily have a lot of effect, but every time you have that scare, all of a sudden the futures and everything go way up. So that could really affect egg prices simply due to people being scared. I think they'll be up. I don't think they'll be up anything like we saw in 25 and 24, but they will be up.
Mauricio, price of eggs. Final prediction.
The price of eggs will be lower than they are today. Maybe 20% lower.
I'm predicting the price of eggs will plummet to the $3 range. When Jay talks about bird flu, it's the same reason when the coronavirus went out, stock of Corona, the beer went way down. So all of a sudden people think that there's a correlation between if there's a bird flu, they'll think that their eggs are infected. So I'm thinking that the demand for eggs is going to go down. And the price is going to come down in the $3 range.
I basically said the same thing, 20% down. Now,
I'm the only one up.
Yeah, you're the only one up. And we also didn't discuss like their chocolate and coffee. Those are two other big things that we're seeing major price increases just because of supply chain issues. So it'll be interesting to see chocolate and coffee next year as well.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for that. All right, let's finish this up.
This is the end of my bottle.
There was a long episode. We've already done 2 in a row. So Mauricio, I don't feel like we need to do a top 10. We've already kind of done top 10 stuff.
Yes.
So we will skip
Wonderful.
the top 10 this week for the prediction episode.
I finished the bottle, by the way.
We'll skip the game. I got a little bit left, so I'll just finish that off. And it's gonna be a while till we hang out, right, guys?
Yeah, I don't think we have any plans to get together in a while.
Yeah, so it won't be next Tuesday. It'll be a little while. So this is one last plug we get to put in for a couple weeks of plugs. So make sure this is a really good plug. I know AJ's on his phone looking up a good plug right now. So AJ, what are you going to plug this week?
All right, you ready? This week I'm plugging my Instagram. Boom.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've never even done that before. I've never plugged my Instagram, so it's not good. There we go. Oh well. So yeah, go check it out.
But it's just like what, AJ Osborne, right?
Straight AJ Osborne. I got my name.
Yeah, nice. That must be so nice for you. I'm like KR Will. I'm not even going to say it. I don't want people going to my Instagram. Jay, what's up?
I will say this is going to be released on January 2nd. So Happy New Year to all of our listeners. We appreciate you listening for the last year and a half. And there's my kissing up to our listeners. And what am I going to plug? I'm going to plug dredaily.com, our daily economics newsletter, which hopefully by the time this releases, we have over 1,000 listeners. So
check win a mug. Look at this.
You can win a mug.
Win a mug.
If you're the 1,000th subscriber, you'll get a mug engraved with your name.
Who knows? It might even be Mauricio. I don't think Mauricio subscribes yet. So
he hasn't.
I think I figured out the issue though, but we'll figure it out.
Mauricio, what's your plug for the new year?
I'm going to plug my brand new syndication legal coaching and consulting program. When this comes out, probably the pre-launch will be done. But if you just go to Instagram and just message me, Coach. Instagram is Mauricio Raould, and I'll send you the details if you're interested about being. I just want to make sure you're raising money legally. You can sleep well at night. If you want that, message me, Coach, on Instagram.
All right. as per usual, I'm going to plug my wife 2 weeks worth. So maybe a dozen times I'm going to plug her. Check her out, Badass Investor, at Badass Investor on Instagram, YouTube. She's pretty funny, much better looking than Jay, much better follow than he is. So go check her out on all those socials. All right, that's all I got, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Love our listeners.
New Year.
Thanks, everybody.
Keep up the chat though, Mauricio. I know you're gonna go radio silent probably for about a week here on the chat, but we'd like you to continue to contribute. That would be nice. Okay. Appreciate it. All right.
See ya.
See you guys.